Yo, Whiskey Sick Podcast. Guess who's back? Why am I looking over here? I'm looking at the microphone. I'm supposed to be looking at the camera. I'm already all fucked up. Damn it. 2 curses in the first 15 seconds. Keep screwing myself up in the algorithm. Every episode. I need to get a little timer. on this thing to count down 15 seconds, not to cuss right into. I just gave myself the pep talk and I already forgot that. You know why I forgot? Because this episode is brought to you by Obama Runts. You see this? Oh, where's it? There we go. Obama Runts. That's that hybrid. So this episode is brought to you by. Got a new little. Where am I? I can't even see the little setup. I got the books back here. I was trying to look all. Oh damn it! Look at this. I had all the. Look. I got One Nation Under Blackmail, Whitney Webb, 10 Myths About Israel, Elon Pape, Turtles All the Way Down. Those are by a couple different authors, and then Gary Webb, Dark Alliance. This is a guy who has the dubious distinction of having committed suicide by shooting himself in the head twice. Check that out. Google that shit. Gary Webb. This is the guy who uncovered Iran-Contra and the links to Freeway Ricky Ross. I talked about that on the last episode. Anyways, welcome to the podcast, the jankiest podcast you will ever see. I'm literally just chilling in a goddamn room. This is like, somebody was asking me, like, what is this podcast? Listen, what is it about? Nothing, everything. I don't know. It's kind of like the Seinfeld of podcasting. Not as in that it's like the greatest shit ever or considered so. I don't think so, but fuck Seinfeld. Or the Curb Your Enthusiasm of podcasting. It's just, it's about everything. What do we got today? I got 10. Listen, big numbers. Big numbers on the last episode. 10 views, motherfuckers. And only one of them was my own view, just checking to see if the damn thing worked. So, I mean, that's what's one view last week, the week before, to 10. That's like we can make that is that 100 times, 100% increase in viewers in just 1 week? That's crazy numbers. So 10 views. Hit that Kanye West. Nuh-uh, you can't tell me nothing. What are we gonna get into today? I don't even know. I'm kind of just still freestyling, just getting the feel of trying to get my my bearings underneath me. I was gonna talk about a little bit how the podcast came about. Listen, I've been doing this podcast. Actually, I did about 100 and some. Let's go and check this shit. Let's see if it's still on the what do I got here? Make sure I got none of my porn sites up here. Got none of the porn sites up here, man. Make sure I always keep all that shit. Where is it at? Right here. Let's shoot this shit out. Whiskey Sick. 156 episodes. 156. So that was 2022 was the last time I had done one, up until just a couple weeks ago. But before we had before I started doing the Whiskey Sick podcast, me and the homies used to be on internet radio back in like 2012, 13, 14 on a little radio, on a little internet radio company called Radio Frequency. My man Malad owned this shit. He had a dope little studio out in Irvine, California. And me and the homie Chonesy used to roll up there once a week and do a morning show. Fucking wild. I should play some episodes. I have some, I think I even on here, if you check this out and you go all the way down. I'm not going to go all the way down. If you go all the way down, or you go on maybe even Apple, I think I have some of the old episodes from the radio. We didn't have callers, but we had like a texting line. So people used to text in questions and shit. It was wild, man. One of my homies became a porn star. He was listen to this guy. His name was Brick Yates. He was Dominic Cruz's old wrestling partner. This guy wrestled for the Navy. He was like an MMA like savant. I used to train with him a little bit. He was one of my homies, and he threw all that away. Like, this guy was really good. He could have easily have been a UFC fighter, and some kind of professional MMA fighter. I don't know if UFC fighter, but he threw it all away to become a porn star. He started his own porn site, and his specialty, I guess, what would his I don't know, what would you say, like his like MO, his fetish that he covered, I guess you would say, were uniforms, chicks in uniforms. So he would like smash chicks out in their, military fatigues, in their hot dog on a stick uniform, be smashing out some chick in a UPS uniform, a Foot Locker uniform, like whatever the uniform was. It could be some hot Spirit Halloween, whatever the uniform was. He would smash these betties out. He would like film his brother. His brother was like the porn star dude that was smash, and he would be up underneath the gooch and shit with the camera, getting the close up, zooming out, zooming in, fucking, you know what I'm talking about. But anyways, I bring that up because we interviewed that dude on the old Radio Frequency podcast, just to get you an idea of how we used to do this on this radio radio show. And he came on here and he was talking about how he was getting one of those gooch shot and a little poop got in his face. Some chick started pooping. It was a little poop scene. You know what I'm talking about? Some Justine Kish, if you know what I'm talking about. Oh, UFC lady, you remember that chick? She pooped herself in the middle of the ring, and they were octagon and they were rolling around in it. He had a Justine Kish situation on his hands. So that's the kind of shit we used to get into on the radio. Honestly, I think what happened to it, they became Hits 101. You can actually still, I think, go hits. Check them out on Instagram, Hits 101. Milad's still doing his thing. He was my old DJ when I used to go out and perform and shit. Yeah, your boy was at the Whiskey A Go Go in Hollywood, Brick by Brick in San Diego. Homie used to rock some stages. That was my old DJ right there. We used to rock some stages. We've been on the Whiskey A Go Go stage out there. We opened for Twisted Insane. So that was sick, But that's how it all got started. Go check out Hits 101. I'll try to find. I got like maybe 5 or 6 old episodes. I used to have them. Oh, I used to save them on these little CDs. They were wild, man. I think at the end of the day, what happened is just got too wild. I think they wanted to go in different direction because we got into some shit, homies. We got into some shit. But that's the evolution. So then after that, I started the Whiskey Sick podcast for, up until about 2022, and then I just kind of took a break, man, but I'm back. So here we are. I tend to, mosey about, I don't know, so stay with me. What are we going to talk about? First of all, we got to talk some Cowboys. I meant to on the first podcast. It was right after the first game. And I didn't talk about, my initial, or maybe it was before the first game. I can't even remember. It was like right after the Micah Parsons shit. And so, listen, I'm a D-Boys fan. Through and through. Hardcore. Here's my fan base. Here's my fandom. My fandom is absolutely. I was taking a goddamn shit. I must have had Taco Bell the night before when I was sitting in line for the, handing out fandoms, because I got the worst fucking fandoms ever. A Cowboys fan, ain't won chip in 30 years. That's my football team. A Pelicans basketball fan. Think about that shit. Think I'm fucking playing. Think I'm playing. We got mad dust on it. Mad Dusty. Bring out the Mad Dusty fucking Pelicans jersey to prove my fandom. It's all fucking covered in dust. What an asshole. Listen, I've been a fan of them when everybody in the 90s was rocking Charlotte Hornets shit because it looked cool. They weren't even fans. You never find an actual. I was the only actual Charlotte Hornets fan who rocked the Apex puffy jackets and the starter jackets, the purple and teal shit. I was the only one. I had the Larry Johnson jersey, the Muggsy Bogues jersey. I still got one of my old Larry Johnsons I used to rock in middle school. Had the LJs, the shoes, the Converse with the React juice. Grandma Ma was my shit. He was my favorite player. Muggsy Bogues was my favorite player too, because I was always the smallest dude on the court. I'm aging myself like a motherfucker, but listen, that's how far back I was an actual Hornets fan. And I stayed with the Hornets when they moved to New Orleans. And then I had when they changed their name to the Pelicans, I came to this fork in the road. Because then Charlotte became the Hornets again. So it's like, well, there's the Charlotte Hornets. I can be the Charlotte Hornets fan, or I can stick with, at the time I was like, the fucking Pelicans? You named your shit the Pelicans? The fuck is a pelican? That the shit that brings babies down and shit? That's a stork. Is a stork a pelican? I don't know. It's grown on me since. I like the colors. I like the colors. I like a lot of the shit they do. I like the uniforms, actually. It's grown on me. But obviously we had just gotten Anthony Davis. We had just drafted him. So it looked like a promising future, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to stick with the original Hornets, because if I go back to the now Charlotte Hornets, it's not the same. That's not the original Hornets. I'm riding with the original franchise, so I stayed with the New Orleans Pelicans, so I'm still a New Orleans Pelicans fan. I'm also an Angels fan. In case you don't believe me, I know you don't fucking... You wouldn't believe me. Why would you be an Angels fan? And you know, if I had to throw in a Ducks fan too, but at least the Ducks, you know, they haven't been shit for like the last 8 years, going on 10 years. But before that, they had a lot of runs. And they won a chip back in the day too. So those are the major fandoms of mine. Number one, first and foremost, though, with diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. So we gotta do something. I live and die by the Cowboys. You know. It's Cowboys season. We're in the midst of it. What was going on in 2022? How were we fucking it up? I'm wondering. I want to go back and listen to how were we fucking it up then? So we got this Jerry Jones getting rid of Micah Parsons. Everybody was up in arms. I'm gonna tell you like this. I wasn't really. I was neither here nor there on it. Draft picks, 2 first-round draft picks, obviously gonna be late draft picks, maybe towards the end. Listen, I think the Green Bay Packers could win it all this year. I think they're the best team in the NFC right now, and I think it's early, but I think they're the best team in the NFC. The way they handled the Lions in Week 1, you know, so we're gonna get a late first round pick. But listen, I mean, you could turn those into 2 Micah Parsons. You know, technically you could do that, right? It depends what you do with those picks. But then they threw in Kenny Clark in the mix too. At first, I didn't know they had Kenny Clark also. And listen, in the first game, at least in the second half of the Eagles game, he came up big. I think he has 2 sacks on the year. I think he got a sack in the last game too. So I like Kenny Smith. He's a big dude in the middle, run blocking type of dude. That's the shit we needed. We just added Jadeveon Clowney right now. Not anything. Listen, I mean, you talk about a guy who didn't really ever. I mean, that guy was supposed to be like the next, you know, Bruce Smith or some shit. Like, this guy was supposed to be one of the best pass rushers of all time. He never achieved that. He's not going to achieve that as a Cowboy. He's not going to be a big pass rusher. He's not going to really help the pass rush much. But he's a big body to stop the run. That's what we need to do. I'll take that. If you can't have one, if you're going to have, let's just at least stop the run. We got you know, so at first, I was like, okay, listen, Micah was doing the podcast shit. You know, he was rubbing people, you know, he was rubbing people the wrong way, like a fucked up masseuse. He you know, he couldn't get it right. I mean, even he goes on his podcast and does top 10 fucking QBs, and you don't even throw in a courtesy Dak Prescott, a courtesy. You could even put him in at like 8. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you had to put him in number 1, but you leave your own quarterback off the fucking list. You're doing shit like that. Listen, after all this shit, you find out the truth about shit when people are gone, and it sounded like nobody in that locker room even liked him like that. Like nobody was kicking it with that fool. A lot of people had enough of him. Jones, from what I understood, $40 million a year. Now I know that was, you know, prorated. The $40 million would be at the end of the contract, of course, because they're trying to save money now. But still, it was like 180 or some shit guaranteed. I mean, you can't say he didn't make him. He would have been the richest, like, non-quarterback or whatever. I don't even know, non-position offensive player or some shit like that, which is what he is now. You know, a total of like a $200 million close to 200 milli against the cap. Listen, I'm okay with it. I became okay with it. I sat back and watched the people, stamp their feet and all this shit. Where was Micah? Four playoff games, 1 sack. Where was he in those games? I remember every day calling hitting my primo up after every one of those playoff losses. Did Micah play today? Where was Micah? We had these exact conversations. Was he hurt? Where was? I didn't even see him on the motherfucking field. So he kind of was like the Dak. You know how Dak gets the sloppy stats at the end of the game when we're already blown out. It's 37-10, and at the end of the game he starts just willy-nilly throwing everywhere. And next thing you know, he's got 400 yards passing and three touchdowns. We got our ass kicked and we were only lost by 10, so it kind of looked like the garbage stats. That's kind of like what Micah Parsons was. He would show up against some whack-ass teams. He'd show up against some whack-ass teams, but you're hard-pressed to find him showing up again in a Packers game. Show me one time he showed up when we played the Packers or somebody like that. The Packers have been eating our ass for fucking, a decade at least now. The Niners. Show me him against the Niners. They've been eating our ass too. They bring in the koala stations, from the family room and the mall. They bring in those koala stations where they put you up and change your diaper. They're throwing us right in the diaper change position, right on the motherfucking field every time we played them. There was no resistance from Micah. He was throwing his heels overhead, holding his own feet over his head, saying "fuck it," getting his ass ate out there too. So at the end of the day, it's not good riddance. It's not that far. It's not like that. It ain't like that. But it's more like I don't give a fuck. And yeah. He had a fucking game and a half in the last Packer game against who did they play the second time out? I can't remember. He was all over that bitch. Was it the Chiefs? I can't remember who they played. He had a hell of a game. And the Cowboys, if you saw that debacle that ended up being wild, the Giants game in this last week, we could have used them. We could have fucking used them. So I'm not sitting here saying that we don't miss them. We couldn't use. We still need a guy just like Micah, But then you see a guy, you see Deron Bland get a big contract. You just saw Tyler Smith get a big contract. So I'm not buying into the narrative. Fuck Jerry, by the way. So this isn't a defense of Jerry Jones. Everything wrong with the Dallas Cowboys is Jerry and Steven. I ain't fucking stupid. But listen, he's paying dudes. He pays them. He paid Dak. Yeah, he fucking fucks around a lot and makes shit worse. The same with with T-Lamb. My homie's T-Lamb. I got the homie. Shout out to T-Lamb if you see this shit. CD Lamb. They get paid. Listen, this is like one of the one times, he paid Zeke and paid the price for that shit. So when I look at it, they knew something. Listen, they didn't trust him with that money. $200 for him? I don't know. I don't know if that's worth it. That's a mighty steep price. And you had all these other guys lining up that you want to sign. Listen, we'll see what they do with the draft picks. The game against the Giants, what a disgrace that was. I mean, we made Wilson look like a motherfucking. I mean, he looked like he was winning the Super Bowl again. I mean, 450 yards. Fucking crazy. Defense was absolutely terrible. We hadn't lost. My kid, my son. Now the future triple champ, is now 6 years old. Homie was like 3 last time I was doing this podcast. He was just a baby pup. He hasn't seen the Dallas Cowboys. He hasn't been alive to see the Dallas Cowboys lose to the Giants. The Giants haven't beat him in his lifetime. And it almost happened on Saturday. It's been like 7-8 years since these motherfuckers beat us. Yeah, it's like 14 dubs in a row. 7 years worth of dubs. Damn, I know what y'all thinking too, right? When I started this motherfucker really had the audacity to come back looking like Joe Budden again. I came back looking like Joe Budden again. Bet I wouldn't. Fuck it. Anyways, what I was saying, I don't even know. Listen, the Cowboys came, they came back. The Giants, they made the Giants. They almost blew their streak against the Giants, and maybe we will blow it, later in the year. But they got the dub, 64-yard motherfucking field goal to send it into OT. I gotta get me a Brandon Aubrey jersey. I mean, were there ever people rocking Vinatieri jerseys? I don't even remember. Were there anybody doing that shit? I just don't ever remember people rocking kickers jerseys. But I'm seeing number 17 flying around, and I'm kind of wanting to get in on that shit because this dude, he's by far the best player on our team. Our kicker. And I know listen, Dak's been balling the first 2 weeks. But this guy's a fucking weapon, man. This guy, you get past the 50-yard line, you got 3 points. You got 3 points, homies. Now, I know every kicker, you're just waiting for him to miss that one that sets him off for the rest of, off course for the rest of their career. Who was the guy before him that was money? And then he went to I can't remember. What was his name? I can't remember. And he went to the Vikings after he left us. Just recently. I think he just recently retired, the fucking old kicker we had. But he was dope, too. He was one of the most accurate kickers. And then he got a hamstring injury, and he was never the same. And then we hadn't found a kicker until we found Aubrey, who's a former soccer player. And that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody's saying, like, why don't you just go watch MLS or go out to La Liga or some shit and just scout these motherfuckers and find yourself a Brandon Aubrey. This guy, that 64-yarder, it was kind of all over the place, but that shit could have gone 70. That shit could have gone 70 yards. I mean, that shit was like up. The pole is here and it's like up here. It's not down. It's not like just barely getting over. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. That's all I wanted to do. Look at that shit. You know what I'm saying? The little shit was like high up on the pole. It still could have kept going. So a win, and then after that, it just got sloppy and ugly. I mean, then neither team could score. They couldn't not score. They were accidentally scoring on each other for the whole entire game, and then they got into OT, and then it was just they turned into the Cowboys and the Giants, and somehow, some way, the Cowboys pulled it off, and so we're 1-1. It's a hell of a lot better than 0-2. Predictions for the season. Listen, I'll be honest with you my take before I saw any of the first 2 games, because this is one of the seasons where I had going into this no fucking clue. No, I'm not a Schottenheimer fan. I've been shitting on that pick since forever. 28 years in the league. Never got himself a head coaching gig. Nobody wanted. Always the motherfucking bridesmaid. Never the fucking bride. Motherfucker was always the dude in the corner wanking off, watching his homie beat guts. That's who he's been his whole career. Watching the cheek clapping. Not participating in the cheek clapping. For 28 years, nobody wanted him, and then Jerry fucking wants him. And this guy wasn't even the offensive coordinator. He was offensive coordinator in title alone last year. He wasn't even calling the fucking plays. So, going into this season, I had no idea what the hell was going to happen. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know any of that shit. Now, so I was thinking, man, honestly, I maybe we're the same as last year. I can't even remember what we finished last year. We didn't make the playoffs. Can't remember if we were even over 500. Honestly, I can't remember. What we got? 9-8, 8-9. What were we last year? 9-8, 8-9. One of those things. I could see that again this year. Easily could see that again this year. I think the offense is, with Pickens, that was a big pickup. The running game has been all right. The running game has been that Devontae Williams, and then you had Miles Sanders in the first game. Should have taken that to the house, and we would have beat the Eagles. But they, almost 100 yards in each game for Devontae Williams. Not bad. Ferguson had 9 catches. I mean, if these guys can keep, obviously CeeDee Lamb lost that for. Okay, now I remember now. This was the day after we lost the CeeDee Lamb game. The CeeDee Lamb dropping those passes. We should have beat the Eagles. We could easily beat 2-0. And you saw the Eagles whoop ass. No, they played the Chiefs last week and struggled also against the Chiefs. But, so I don't know. I don't see us in the playoff picture. We'll see how we stack up against a team like the Redskins. The Commandos. the Comanches. I don't even know what the fuck they are. You know what the formerly known as the Redskins. Those fucking guys. Team formerly known as the Redskins. We'll see how we stack up against them. We should have beat them last year in the final game of the season with who was our backup? I already forget his name too. Listen, if I didn't tell you, brought to you by Obama runs. That's why I can't ever remember shit. Listen, I don't be getting up into Obama. I didn't name the fucking weed. All right, I know. Look at the books over here, man. You think I rock with fucking Obama? You rocking with no Obama? I'm just saying I didn't name the weed. I wouldn't have named it, Biden runts or Clinton runts or Bush runts or Trump runts. I wouldn't have named it any of that shit. I'm just smoking the shit. Look. Nugs for your little ass. You think I'm fucking playing with you? I think this is a game? Stank on you. Stank on you. It's on you. Anyways, just saying. I can't remember dude's name. The other redhead dude. Hanging with Mr. Cooper Cup. Hanging with Mr. Cooper Rush. That's what his name was. Hanging with Mr. Cooper Rush. We should have beat the Redskins. And homeboy quarterback Daniels played the whole first half. And only scored like 6 points against us in that game. We should have won that game. So we'll see how we stack up. They can be a sleeper. Anything can happen in the NFL. Fights, Jean Silva. We talk about this. Jean Silva versus Diego Lopes. We picked Lopes on the show. Rough night for the pick'em. If you picked up on the MMA show, rough night on the pick'em. I think it went under 500 one fight. I think I was like 6-7, 7-8, something like that. Got the main event. Diego Lopes comes out there, trying to fix this mic over here. Comes out. Jean Silva, the fighting geek, makes them one mistake he can't make, and it right off the bat gets taken down, gets slammed, gives up his back, gets taken down, slammed because he got Diego Sanchez was able to get the double underhooks on him, and it was a wrap from there. I mean, you saw the deficiency in Jean Silva. He's a tough little dude to get down normally, and he can get back to his feet, but he got manhandled on the ground. He got manhandled on the mat. I mean, that was just bad. He got beat up. Here's the thing about Diego Lopes. He's got massive holes, technically, especially on the feet. You saw him getting lit up in the second round before he finished it. But on the mat, what makes him special on the mat is not only his submissions, that ground and pound. He went to fucking work. And did you see his mount? Props to Silva for finally getting out, but that was like a straight 2 minutes of something. That's like when your pops gets on top of you back in the day and used to just get on top of you and sit on your chest and tickle the shit out of you when there was nothing you can do. Or your brother would get on top of you and then let that little spit hang down until it came right up into your eye, and then he'd suck it back up, and every once in a while he wouldn't suck it and he'd get on your face and you'd rage and shit. That's that position. That's what it looked like. It looked like a homie with the little spit job hanging up and trying to get off of him. He couldn't. Whoa. We back? Whoa. Anyways, he couldn't get off his back. He couldn't get off the control from the top position. That's why a lot of people don't like the mount like that. And what was crazy, he was using that super high mount, getting right up under, Diego's putting his hips, right up under, on the top of his chest with his legs right under his hip, his armpits, keeping his arms like pretty much like pinned up over his head or off to the side, so he can't really use them that much. And it was just, no matter how much he bucked Jean Silva, and you can see that little motherfucker is strong. He couldn't get out of that mount until he was already busted the first elbow Diego threw, that 12 to 6 downward elbow was just nasty. It's so great that they allow that now. I practice that every single day when I'm doing ground and pound on the bags. It's just it's a game changer, because you can't just cover up like this when you can drop 12 to 6, because the elbow will go right between your guard. And he came down on the top, kind of like slicing across the head. It was nasty. Cut him with the first elbow and started dropping more and just was hammering him. Eventually, Jean Silva is just so strong, finally was able to power, because that's really all you can do in that. You have to try to power yourself out of that situation. He finally was able to get back to his feet, and he started doing work in the second round. Diego just defensively illiterate. I'm talking Floyd Mayweather reading this shit. defensive illiterate, and I'm talking like illiterate, like Floyd Mayweather reading this shit right here. War and Peace. That kind of defensive illiterate. Yes, I've read this shit. That's the kind of defensive illiteracy that Diego Lopes has on the feet. He's like the CIA. He anticipates no blowback for all the shit he stirs up. He stirs all that shit up in the pocket and then anticipates no blowback. I mean, just drop your knees, young man. Drop your knees. Something to show me that you even see those punches. Nothing. I mean, you literally just go, look. Here, let's pretend Diego Lopes or Jean Silva is about to throw a punch. Go. You see that? Oh. Just once or twice. But get your hands up too, though, because you don't want to get kicked in the head. You go down. But I'm just saying, look. Once. Jean Silva must have had a 100% striking rate on that shit. I don't think he missed a punch. I mean, it's like playing duck hunt. You remember when you played duck hunt and you put the gun right up to the TV screen and shoot the ducks? It still couldn't get past 3 ducks. But you remember when you used to do that? That's what it's like punching Diego Lopes in the face, kickboxing with Diego Lopes. I mean, every punch is landing. I mean, he's like, he doesn't want to offend you or some shit by making you miss a punch or something. Just a defensive atheist. Just doesn't believe in that shit. Started getting his, boxed up, and then here I was like, damn it. Because I had money. I had a little 20-twin, and I went with the Diego plus 700 TKO. At the last minute, I said submission or TKO. And I thought maybe ground and pound. So in that first round, I was begging him to finish that. And then he starts getting pieced up in the second round. I'm like watching that Andy Jackson just go down the drain. I was like, it's over. My man's done. He's not going to get it back. That's the thing. Diego Lopes doesn't have the real takedown proficiency. He doesn't really have the striking to set it up. He kind of needs you to do what Jean Silva did and over pursue and use your aggression against you to get underneath you and take your legs out from under you. And without that, he'll stand up and bang with you. But I mean, he's fading away. And you know what? Jean Silva, he authored his own ending. This motherfucker is the one that planted the idea of the spinning back elbow in Diego Lopes's mind, because he kept throwing it. Jean Silva kept throwing it. He kept spinning and spinning. Like 3 or 4 times he tried to land the spinning back elbow. And doing that puts it in Diego Lopes's mind. Okay, I'm gonna hit this guy with his own shit. I've never seen Diego Lopes throw a fucking spinning back elbow before. That might have been the first time he ever even tried one. Because you tried it so much, you put it in his mind. And he's seeing you come after him. He's got the perfect angle. The same angle you would throw a spinning back kick for. I'm kicking shit. The same angle. You can turn, if he's too far away, you can turn it into a back fist. Well, he hit him with that elbow. He gave him with the elbow as he was coming in, right across the temple. And it was just, he was done. Listen, the stoppage, I thought it was good. The little hammer fists at the end were a little, a little herky-jerky, weren't really doing much, but I think homie was done. You saw his face all cut up, beat up. I mean, he got, at the end of the day, when you look at it in its totality, Jean Silva got his ass kicked. He got his ass kicked. I didn't see that coming. He definitely did his own. It's not to say he didn't have his own moments, but overall, in totality, he got his ass kicked. But listen, that's the top of the food chain. I don't think he got exposed. I'm not using that word. I think Jean Silva is still just as good as I thought he was. I was nervous for that fight. We didn't know a whole lot about Jean Silva. That's why I didn't pick him. I didn't know what kind of cardio he's gonna have, and we still don't really know that. But the dude still looked like a monster. Still good, good fighter, all that shit. That was a dope little main event. It was a dope little card. So we got no card on the schedule this week. So we'll get back into that, into breaking down the fights next. I've already got those down. Who is it? Olberg versus. This episode is brought to you by Obama Runs. I can't fucking remember who he's fighting. God damn it. Olberg and Dominic Reyes. Yes. The controlled demolition man is what I call Dominic Reyes after he got knocked out by Ryan Spann. He looked like a controlled demolition. Falling to the mat. I call him the controlled demolition man. Dominic Reyes, but that dude's streaking right now. He's on that Frank the Tank shit. He's streaking like my little 5-year-old's chonies when he takes a shit at school and has to wipe his own ass. He's definitely streaking. That's a dope little main event right there. The co-main event with Junior Tafa, I think it was. I think that just got nixed. So I don't know what the new co-main event is. So, anyways, let's move along. Man, what do we want to get into? I don't know how long. I check the time of how long I've been going on already. We'll get into some ticks, a little bit of stuff that's been going on. We know last week we talked about Charlie Kirk incident and everything that went down with Charlie Kirk, and every single day. Listen, I said last week, every single day when you see what the government is trying to sell you, after you've seen what they tried to sell you with COVID, if COVID didn't wake you up, I don't know what it's going to do, because they're using the exact same tactics. Everything's the exact same. It's now just the Republicans doing it. Everything, the censorship and all that shit is just repackaged. They're going to use, whether you believe the government or the Israeli government or some trans dude, whatever you believe happened to him or killed him, and let's say the government had nothing to do with it, they will still never cease to let some kind of emergency or catastrophic event, they will never let that go by without trying to take advantage of it in the form of taking more of your rights, censoring you more, surveilling you more. No matter what, they're gonna. So whether you believe they were behind it or not, they're still gonna do what they can to take advantage of Charlie Kirk's death. You saw it right away. They start with the left versus right shit, right? And now you see their phony baloney fucking the guy they ring up. They start straight lying to you, telling you that he confessed. He didn't confess. They don't tell you the details of how they bring out this letter that they don't have. You see this letter that they don't have, that was destroyed. The FBI says this letter that they found where he confessed was destroyed, but they have evidence of the letter and that he's not talking. They tried to tell you that he confessed to it. He wrote this confession letter supposedly, right? But then in jail, he's not talking. They told us he was, that he confessed, but he didn't confess. Instead, he's not talking. But you know what they said? They said people around him are talking. Well, what the fuck does that mean? Let's see if I can find this. Damn. Anyways, you can find it. They had... What's going on here? We don't even have Charlie Kirk? I'll find that nothing. I don't know what's going on here. Let's reload this up. But they're trying to tell you that, he had confessed, but he didn't confess. He didn't confess in there, and that he's not cooperating with police, and that the people around him are cooperating. Well, what the hell does that mean? I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. Maybe X is down. I don't know. Yeah, X is down. Down. Man down. All right. Well, anyways, they're trying to tell you that everybody else around him is cooperating. So under duress, basically. They're basically they had some friend or somebody that said that he said these things, but and they use this wording that, under, strict interrogation. So they're basically trying to force these narratives on these people that are around the alleged shooter to try to make him fit this role as a patsy. And they roll out this picture of him with these glasses on. And what they don't tell you is that glasses, I wish this thing was fucking working right now. What they don't tell you is that picture that they disseminated all over the place of the guy with the black, long sleeve shirt with the Oakley glasses on and shit. They don't tell you that was AI generated image. They used AI to help make the image. So basically, they can make that image into anything they want, make it look like any single person they wanted to. They didn't tell you that. They didn't tell you that it was an AI image. Or assisted or auto, like a generated, I forget the wording, but they used AI to help generate the photo of the guy, right? All this phony shit. That, what you need to know right away. Here's the thing. The government, what did they do right after Charlie Kirk died? We saw they give up their. They're so greedy. They're so in your face with their corruption. It's just right in your face because they know there's a certain part of the population that doesn't give a fuck. That'll let them do whatever the fuck they want, right? And it's right in your face. What do? Right away, who takes over his show? Ben Shapiro, the Zionist king of all Zionists. Mr. Cook to Netanyahu and the whole, immediately takes over his TP USA tour. Immediately. Then what happens? The following Monday, JD Vance is hosting his show. So now you have the government taking over his show. Immediately after he dies. And you have Netanyahu every single day tweeting about this motherfucker. A podcast influencer in America, this guy is tweeting about every single day, trying to sell you that we love Charlie. And then you got the government and government shills taking over his podcast immediately. You got the Zionist, which Charlie was, but we're hearing from Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. And from his own shows and the clips that are going around that he was starting to... He turned down Netanyahu money. He turned down a trip to the wall to go, that glory hole wall that they all go make out with and shit like that. You just saw 250 Congress members do that shit this week. He said, I'm not fucking the wall. I'm not bending over in front of the wall. I ain't doing nothing with your fucking wall. I don't want you $100-some million that they offered him. And we find all this shit out. Put all my shit on blast here. I don't know what the fuck happened. Listen. So, we find all this shit out. You got, they take over his shit. We find out that he's starting to have, second thoughts about Israel. He's feeling pressure from them. He can't have, any kind of criticism of them because he came out right away and right after October 7th and said, this is kind of weird. How does the most heavily surveilled, place on earth take 6 hours to respond to something that's like 15 minutes away from them? He started having on the Patrick Bet David podcast. He started immediately having second thoughts, on that and questioning that. And then before that, he starts talking about Candace. He's talking to Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly, super Zionist chick. Now even her, she's got to, if this doesn't make you think twice, so we find out that he's starting to have these second thoughts about Israel. He gets shot. Immediately the government takes over and puts in the super Zionists who aren't ever going to sway in his spot. They couldn't even wait until homie was buried to do it. They just couldn't help. They couldn't even wait a month or something. Maybe just let it kind of die down a little and then slowly. No, they're like the government is like the guy buying a new sports car with the 19-year-old chilling. He's hauling ass. He's got Betty's in the back seat. He's hauling ass. Literally hauling ass with 3 Bettys in the back seat, tops down. He's driving by the, a PCH 101, top down, right after his wife dies. She dies under, suspicious circumstances, and homie's already got the fucking new whip. He's got the new Bettys out, and he's fucking rolling down. That's the fucking government, man. They immediately take over his government. They're like the Scott Petersons. They're Scott Petersons of this shit. Scott Peterson's over there, just killed his old lady, and he's already out there with this other chick, this blonde chick, and he's like at his wife's like vigil, and he's on the phone acting like he's seeing fireworks or some shit, talking to that's this guy. That's your government. Your government is Scott Peterson. They're over here already fucking, 2-time taking over his shit. They already got their new Betty lined up, and Charlie Kirk hasn't even been fucking buried yet at the time. And they already got their new direction. They're already moving on. Life is normal. Trump's out there. They're how are you feeling, dude? This is your guy. Oh, I'm great. I got this building going up and this building going up. They can't even pretend anymore. And they're only And so what my major point is, I got my little notes here, is what we're finding out is that meet the new shit libs, they're the same as the old shit libs. You got the Republicans are the new shit libs. They're everything they claim to hate about the Democrats. They're now that exact same thing. And what do we have? How does that happen? Well, because of the people that are now in control of like really mind shape and molding the right wing narratives and the minds, were the people that the right wing turned to, that these Republicans turned to during COVID. The best liars, or the best lies, are lies that have some truth sprinkled into them, because you can verify certain things and it gives it an air of truth. Well, the best liars are the ones that tell the truth sometimes, right? And a lot of the right-wingers were telling the truth about COVID. And it was easy because the other side was completely lying about it. So the way you get up on is, okay, we can tell the truth about COVID. So all the Megyn Kellys of the world got these followings from people because they were telling the truth about COVID. So it gave this false impression that, no, these are truth tellers. We can trust these people because they're right, especially about something so big as COVID. So that's how they earn your trust. But then slowly, they're the same thing. You have these billionaires that own all the media are starting to realize they're seeing CNN and MSNBC and all these things flop. They're going under. People are getting their news from citizen journalists, from researchers like James Lee, Ian Carroll. These are like super researchers. Over here, Whitney Webb. They're starting to get these independent journalists, the Glenn Greenwalds of the world, the Max Blumenthals, the Aaron Mates of the world. They're starting to get there, so they have to try to infiltrate now this independent media, and which is what they've done. They've given you these new heads that have these monikers of truth tellers attributed to them. Got some trust built into them after the COVID, because they were right about COVID and some other little things here and there. It was easy to be right about shit going on during the Democrats, right? Stoke you up about women in men's sport, or men in women's sports and all this shit. It's easy to be on the right side of those things, but now you're seeing it right now, what's going on. They just led you right back into the house of lies. So they're justifying doing ill shit because the previous party did ill shit. Right? Well, they did this, so we can do this also, and it's like this tit for tat thing. Now you got the cancel culture now. They're literally using the term hate speech, motherfuckers. These Republicans are using the term hate speech. Pat Bondi's on there saying hate speech. They just got Jimmy Kimmel canceled. Fuck Jimmy Kimmel. I mean that from the dark side of my itty bitty nuts. Fuck Jimmy Kimmel. But you motherfuckers were supposed to be against cancel culture. Canceling people. Cupcakes. You're cupcakes. Free speech. Getting people canceled. Cancel culture. All that shit. Now they're getting Jimmy Kimmel canceled because he said Charlie Kirk, the killer, was MAGA. Let him be a dumbass. Now I think the world might be a better place without a Jimmy Kimmel. But on TV, that is. But I ain't out here calling him to be canceled, to be, so you got these Republicans now using the exact same language as the Democrats were just using. And it's not even a year into their presidency yet. I remember the homies, were thinking, like, at the beginning of the year, like, some of the homies, I'm talking to you, Ivanito, you, Gabe, I'm talking to motherfuckers like you, and you weren't the only ones, but all these Republican friends that I have that, once Trump took over, they were like, what happened to you? I thought you were a Trumper. Because I used to shit on the Democrats every fucking day, right? So they thought that I was, obviously, he's must be a Trump fan then. Because everything, for people who are stuck in the duopoly, everything is black and white. If you're saying what we're saying on this, and you're with us, and if you're saying anything outside of this, then you're with them. And it's the same with the Democrats, right? So when I started shitting on Donald Trump right away, they're like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? I thought you were one of us. Props to Gabby, and at least, I don't know about Ivanito, but props to Gabby. He's starting to come along. He's starting to see everything that I'm talking about here, that they're both the same. And people outside the duopoly that watch this shit, so, who, like me, don't vote and don't participate in this false shit, and I can sit out here with no stake in the game. Well, I do have a personal stake. We all do. I mean, these motherfuckers are making all kinds of crazy decisions. But I mean, as far as, my allegiance goes, I'm not forced to sit here and feel compelled to defend this side or this narrative, no matter how ridiculous it is, because my cult believes it. And if I say anything otherwise that strays outside of it, then I'll be ostracized and I'll be on the outside and looking in. And nobody wants that, right? I can sit out here free of all that shit. And people who are outside the duopoly, watching all this red versus blue shit, and then blame each other for, Charlie Kirk's murder and all this other shit. It's like non-sports fans who never fuck with sports watching sporting events and fans in the stands fighting and shit. They're like, what the fuck? They're fighting over a fucking Dodgers game? It's the same shit. I feel like a non-sports fan watching sports fights, people fighting in the fucking stands and shit. That's what it's like. Me sitting on the outside, and people like me sitting on the outside watching all this stupidity. You're like, you're fighting over a fucking child game. It's literally a game. I love me some sports, but you play sports. You play them because they're games. Games are for kids, right? So they've really just turned it into a sporting event, all these things. And you root for what? These guys, the blue roots for the blue and the red roots for the fucking red. And now you have these guys calling out for outright censorship. They want you, the Republicans demand that you condemn, Charlie Kirk's death and, anybody speaking ill of him, while never condemning genocide. We just got a report right now that 600, I think was it a Harvard study or something? 600, let me pull this up. I'll pull this up on here because I know I got this saved on mine. I don't know why it's not working on here. What is it? 680,000. Professor Richard Hill. 680,000 dead in Gaza, 380,000 children. Never heard you condemn that. Not one fucking time. And, I already gave you my 2 cents. My heart, my heart hurts for Charlie's, children who had nothing to do with this as a father. Especially them having to relive this shit for the rest of their life. It's fucking brutal. I ain't down with that. But at the same time, You ain't gonna get me to condemn no motherfucker who doesn't give a fuck about Charlie Kirk's kids after he so blatantly didn't give a fuck about 380,000 children dying. I won't condemn anybody who refuses to do that. You didn't give a fuck then, you know, the memes and all this shit they're all getting offended of. You weren't getting offended when you were sending out all those Trayvon Martin memes when motherfuckers were literally dressing in blackface pretending to be Trayvon Martin during trick-or-treating and shit. Or homie George Floyd. All the memes y'all were sending for about George Floyd back and forth. Y'all didn't give a fuck then. No matter what you think about George Floyd, oh, he's fentanyl, drug, all this shit. All that shit aside. You were still sending the memes. You were still shitting on a motherfucker's memes. And then you want, people, especially the black community, to give a fuck about your guy getting shot? It's crazy. The audacity is fucking crazy. So... And that's what you're seeing. What you're seeing here, to me, is pay attention to who the worthy victims are and the unworthy victims are. And that's what you're going to see. You see Charlie Kirk is a worthy victim. 380,000 Gazan children, unworthy victims. The women, the children, the innocent men, all murdered also. The over 9,000 still captive in Israel, unworthy victims. The worthy victim is Charlie Kirk. Go pay attention to who the worthy victims are, who they want you to see who the victims are. Ukrainians, aka Europeans. You'll notice something about them. Look at the ones who aren't the worthy victims. People in Somalia, people in Venezuela, Sudan, Nepal. This is just what I see it as. This is what you're seeing around the world is supremacy. It's white supremacy. White supremacy, it's easy to just, race and calling to race and all this shit. That's why they do it. They do it so that when you speak about actual white supremacy and actual racism, it doesn't have as much meaning. But if you see, this is just manifest destiny rebranded, what you're seeing in the world right now. The United States and all their white counterparts trying to continue to take over the world. Look at who they tell you is look at Haiti, look at all these places. What do they all have in common? And what are the people that they want you to give a fuck about? Look at Israel. They're white people pretending to be Arabs. That's all they are. Go look at who the original descendants of the original Hebrews are Palestinians. And many believe Jesus was Palestinian. Who aren't? The secular, Ashkenazi, white Europeans, people from Turkey, people from Poland and Ukraine, New York. And listen, I'll say this straight up. So those are the worthy victims, right? They all have a certain hue. They all kind of look like me, right? When I'm not looking like Joe Budden. They all look like me. That's the supremacy. It's not just all fucking white hoods and nooses and burning crosses in churches and shit. Yeah, that's part of it. It's definitely part of it. But that's not anything close to what we're seeing. The actual supremacy, the actual white supremacy is the new 2025 manifest destiny, the new era of manifest destiny that you're seeing around the world as the United States and the NATO countries try to expand into eventually going to be into Africa. Israel's already got their eyes set on that shit. But in the Middle East, they're expanding. That's what the Greater Israel Project is, and that's what all this shit is about. And they've been able to get away with this by using the Holocaust. They've been able to safeguard it by using the Holocaust as this point at which they can say we can do this because the Holocaust. They hate us. The people that killed us, 6 million, all this shit, which we know there was not 6 million. That's been changed. You can look into yourself. Regardless. So they try to hit you with these anti-Semitism to try to keep you quiet. It's like the Scarlet Letter. You get hit with this brand of anti-Semitism. That's it. You're ostracized from society, no matter what section that you're in life. Whether you're working, you're a white collar worker, a blue collar worker. You can't be hit with the anti-Semitism. That's the Scarlet Letter. So they use the Holocaust and threats of anti-Semitism to push all of this foul ass shit. But I'm here to tell you, if being anti-Semitic is being against murdering children, bombing children, and women, and innocent men, then I'm a proud motherfucking anti-Semite. If opposing the murder of children is and pedophilia and rape and starvation of children is anti-Semitic, I'm anti-Semitic. I say it fucking proudly, like fucking Eminem in 8 Mile. Then I'm an anti-Semite. If that's what it means, then I'm proud. Your monikers, your fucking slanders, they don't mean shit to us anymore. It don't mean shit to us anymore. Anti-Semitism, if you ain't being called an anti-Semite, you ain't doing it right. You're on the wrong fucking side of history. That's what I'll fucking tell you from that. But, Charlie Kirk thing, the narrative they're pushing is blatantly false. If you haven't seen I'm fucking pissed this doesn't work right now. I'll get it ready for next time. I don't want to put all my shit on here trying to log in. I don't know how to stop and pause and come back and shit. I'm almost done anyways. But if you see the text conversation that he supposedly had with like his roommate or his friend or something, complete bullshit. I mean, you don't need me to fucking tell you. Go read those things. That looked like AI generated conversation. It was so stilted. It's like a bad novel. It's like somebody wrote a bad novel. You see this kind of writing all the fucking time. This stilted, really, really, like dialogue. When you read a book and the dialogue is real, so you're like, people don't talk like this. It becomes obvious that you're reading a book and it's not a real story, and you're kind of pulled out of the story because it's so jarring. That's how this writing is. This writing is, they could have got somebody a lot better to write this shit. It definitely looks like they AI auto-generated this shit. I mean, and every single day, something else comes up. The shit with the gun. I mean, look at this shit. The fucking gun mount, the thing was mounted too far back. If you talk to people, I don't know shit about guns, but you've seen enough people, talk about this. And I had a video saved where a guy breaks down the gun and shows you how long it takes to break down the gun. And put it in a backpack is impossible. Even when it's fully AR-15 is fully broken down, the stock and the barrel still stick out of the top over his head. Okay, so he stuck it down his pants. You wouldn't be able to bend your knees and jump off of a roof with that shit and then run away with a fucking rifle barrel down your pants and the stocking down the other pants. I'm gonna tell you, one time I was in New Mexico. I've told this story before. I'm gonna write an actual story to relay how this happened. I call it Training Day. I had like a training bad, I call it, but it was like a Training Day / Breaking Bad experience when I was in New Mexico, and I love New Mexico. I was in the 505 when I first went out there and was going to school. It was like 2001. I end up, I go all over the place. Back in the day, you used to have to go and try to like find weed. It was hard to find weed because it was illegal to sell that shit. Sometimes you'd spend all day trying to find a sack and you'd go home empty-handed. You know what I mean? Or you'd get like $10 worth and be looking all over for weed again tomorrow. We went all over Albuquerque this night looking for some fucking weed. We end up at this block party. I'm with this Navajo Indian guy who was smoking peyote earlier in the night, been smoking peyote all the way and shit. I had a little toke. I don't know where the fuck I went. I was all over the goddamn place. My legs were melting when I was getting out of the car. We end up in this house, and we're going through this room, and there's people everywhere. There's people dancing on counters, and there's people outside. And my homie that I went there with said, wait in this room right here. We looked, there was nobody in the room. There's this little room. And so I'm like, I'm going to go in there and chill. And he's like, wait for me. I'm waiting for him. I'm sitting in there. Before I know it, like 8 dudes walk into the room. They just like file, like clowns out of a little car. They just start filing in. And I'm like sitting there like, what the fuck? They're all like these vatos, like these cholo dudes, teardrop eyes, tattoo eyes and tats all over the high socks, fool, all that shit. And they walk in there. and they start, like lining up around the room and shit. And I'm like just sitting there on the bed, and they don't even notice me, right? And so this last guy comes in, and he starts coming in, and he's walking like this. This story's going somewhere, motherfuckers. And he's walking like stiff leg. You can't see me, but he's walking like real stiff leg like this, right? And he stands in the middle of the room, and they all start talking and shit, and they all start pulling out pistols and shit. All start from their waistbands, and all start. It's like show and tell in this bitch. They're like, oh, you got the little pea shooter. I got the dirty hairy gun, and they're like, oh, look, they're comparing their guns and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? And they start passing the guns around. It's literally like it's fucking, like it's show and tell. Like, or somebody brings something to school, and you all sit in a circle, and you all take turns passing it around. You know what I'm talking about? And they all look at me all of a sudden and realize that they don't know who the fuck I am. They're like, who the fuck is this guy? And I'm like, I'm with so-and-so. Jeff, I think his name was, but that was like not his real name. It was like his English name because he was Navajo Indian. It was like, walks on water or, some shit. That would be Jesus. You know what I mean. His name was Jeff. I'm with Jeff. He said he was here to get some weed, and they're all looking at me, and I'm like, oh man, these guys are gonna fucking kill me. They got all these guns and shit, and they're stolen. I'm fucked. And they're like, oh wait, what? They end up saying like, whatever. All right, here, check this out. The dude hands me this like fucking gun with like a pearl white like elephant tusk handle and shit, ivory handle and shit. It's like from the 1800s and shit. It looked like the musket in Predator 2, where Danny Glover, where the Predator tosses it to Danny Glover, and he catches it, and it's like a musket from 17. This guy hands me a gun like that with like an ivory handle, and I'm looking at this shit like, what the fuck? Anyways, the guy in the middle who was clinking, walking in here and shit, all stiff leg, lifts up his shirt. By the way, I should have started the program with this. Free Palestine. We're going to start the podcast with that every day. Anyways, he lifts up his shirt, right? And he pulls out a fucking shotgun. He pulls out a shotgun with a pistol grip pump on it. Out his fucking pant leg, his fucking dickies full. He's like all the way down to his Cortez. He hikes that shit all the way up. He had to pull it up over his head like this high to clear it from the fucking waistband, right? So what I'm telling you is this motherfucker wouldn't jump off a roof and then go running. He had that shit down his waist. He had the fucking like this, like he was Captain Abad in the Moby Dick. God damn it, Moby Dick. You can't just run around with a fucking rifle barrel and a stock in your motherfucking legs. And then the time it takes the screwdriver to undo the fucking thing and then run just to put the screwdriver in the fucking thing and put the whole thing back together, hike it up out of your pants, and then to wrap it in a fucking towel, and then go and put it in a cardboard box, and then go and text your fucking friend while you're on the run and the helicopters are floating and shit. It's like it's like GTA when you fuck up and everybody's coming after you, and meanwhile he's having this like fucking Shakespearean conversation with his roommate, telling him why he did it, and then every minute, like talking about giving every detail. Then I wrapped it in a towel. It was one of my mom's towels. It was one of those towels that she left over the toilet that you weren't really allowed to use. If she ever caught you drying your hands on it, she would smack you with it and all this shit. I wrapped it in that towel. It's been in the family for about 40, 50 years. I put it in there, and I put it in the box. The box was like a 2x4 kind of. He's giving him every single fucking detail about this shit. To wrap up the FBI's investigation, a nice neat bow. Isn't that great? How all the manifestos, like the CEO manifestos and all that, all wrap the case up in a nice neat bow. There's no more questions anymore. But that's what you're getting here. You're getting a completely false fucking story, and you got to be a dumb fucking idiot to believe it. And so you have to ask yourself, if they're lying about this, why the fuck would they have to lie about it unless A, they were involved, B, they know who is involved, and that person who is involved is considered our greatest ally. Always look at the people who benefited from it. The government and Israel. They're the ones that have government. Go look into, I wish I had this ready, damn it. I got this video last night, I forgot, I'm going to try to remember. Go look at this video this young lady did. Just another citizen journalist, citizen researcher, did about Charlie Kirk's wife. Rich, billionaire chick. Go look at this. Go Google that. That's your homework. Go look into her. Go look into her and go look at her ties to everything that's going on. But listen, I've been on here for a minute now. I'm going to get the fuck off. I've been yapping. I probably scared, out of the last, 10 viewers we had last week, I'm probably back down to 3. Maybe we can get 11 this week. I'll come back next week. I'll try to be, I'm going to try to get a little more organized. Listen, I used to flow, like I had it on point. Now I'm real rusty. I'm just still getting the rust off. It's like after an athlete blows out his Achilles, that first year back, you're still not quite yourself. Still not quite myself. I'm still getting in the groove. But we'll get there. Until then, I normally I would have had some dope shit to show you on here. I should have just kept my fucking picture, big. But anyways, this is Amateur Hour. Listen, I told you, this is the jankiest motherfucking podcast. If you came for a janky-ass podcast, you came to the right motherfucking place. Anyways, Whiskey Sick Podcast. I'm Seth Gecko, a.k.a. Moody Hank. Free Palestine. From the river to the sea. Free Palestine. Always and forever. None of us are free if all of us aren't free. Peace out, homies. Catch y'all next week.